Hello and welcome to the Black Complementary Therapist. I'm your host, Pauline of Pendulum Massage of London, and on today's show, which is episode 3, we'll be talking about why Black complementary therapists are needed now more than ever. So with little ado, let's begin with some breathing. Fill those lungs and slowly let that breath out. Another couple of those. Well done. Okay, about my week. It's been an interesting one. Those of you who've had a look on social media might have noted that I had a different base to work from. Yeah, I worked out of Cleopatra Beauty, which is just 50 yards down the road from me. Lovely space. I had a really nice big room, bigger than my present room actually. And the staff are very, very helpful. They do ad hoc bookings, but mainly they're into training in aesthetics, so aesthetic beauty. So yeah, keep an eye out for them and ad hoc bookings when you need them. So I am back in my room. The building work is mostly done. I've had a couple of clients at my Unit 30 location and it's been fine. Let's move on. So today's show is all about rooting, representation, cultural competence, trauma-informed care, and ancestral wisdom. These are some of the keywords that we use when we think about Black complementary therapists and why we're so needed. I'm always amazed when I see toddlers together. They can't speak words as such, but they do communicate. The toddlers are like really keyed in and engaged and looking and seeking a connection, and which is amazing. And I always wonder why, as adults, we lose that sense of connection. So last year, I went to Notting Hill Carnival for the first time in many years. I felt well enough. I felt able. I felt up for just being out on an adventure for the day. And we went on the quiet day on the Sunday. And I can remember walking around, just enjoying, soaking up the vibes. And I can remember seeing these young boys, 14, 15, just soaking up the atmosphere. And yeah, even though they were soaking up the atmosphere, reveling in that experience, there was a watchfulness in them that I felt was not fair. I didn't think it was fair that they should be so watchful of what was around them because they're just not able to be their young prince that they should be. And sometimes, you would give someone a smile and then you would see them light up, the smile just light up their whole being because they knew they were at carnival. And yeah, actually they were holding it in a bit, but just because some auntie over there gave them a big broad smile, they felt free in that connected moment of recognition. And that is the connected moment of being rooted in representation. When you are looking for rooted representation, you need to start at some point within an organisation. So any therapist who wants to serve a particular type of community or try to centre to make sure that those members of the community that are often overlooked are brought into and held tight within your ethos and your beliefs. I guess the first point of call is the idea of social location. So I did a course recently about conscious marketing. It was good. It was very good actually. And it made me think. And social location was one of those things that was brought up with regard to identifying a group. But using social location, you first identify who you are and you work through your privileges with regard to having proximity to power. So there are key areas within it that are really helpful. In order to find out about your social location, you think about your proximity to power. Think of it as like a circular graph with 0 being at the centre and the outer edges, you could say 10, a nominal figure. And then each of the spokes, there would be gender expression, social class, age, ability or, I don't know, educational level, your sexual orientation, where you live, how you live, and what context you live within. And when you create this diagram, it's like a graph, a circular graph. It has these lines go in and out. So I suppose if you were, I don't know, let's go for it. If you're a white male aristocratic banker who lives in Belgravia in a townhouse, which has been in your family for generations, and you earn a lot of money, and you are a cis male, you'd be like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 all the way around your diagram graph would be a beautiful circle so far as the meritocratic society would judge you. In comparison, mine might be fives and then a few zeros because maybe I'm older as a black woman and my earnings are not particularly high, but then compared to other people, they might be because I've spent some time teaching. I worked in education. I have a degree. I have a postgraduate certificate. So people might see that as a different way of evaluating my social location. So bearing that in mind, creating space that acknowledges the social locations of others within the group is one way of using representation as a tool of equality and upliftment. Cultural competence is another thing that Black complementary therapists have a lot of. So, what's cultural competence? Well, it's kind of like the DEI stuff. It's the ability to recognize and understand that people don't all come from the same place and have a cultural background the same as the dominant scene culture. So in the past, this is some facts from Michelle Cassandra Johnson's book, We Heal Together. She talks about the harmful outcomes of colonialism across the globe, where people, because of economic reasons and political reasons, are separated from their rituals and ceremonies and culture in a way to enhance power and authority of colonial culture. And so when people are invalidated in that way, it strips them of their culture, but it also allows colonial culture and outlook to dominate and to guide the way that they live their lives. Nowadays, this dominant culture is used as a tool of profitability. So, for example, if the dominant culture produces products that need to be consumed, then what they will do is devalue or strip indigenous foods and products from the system, devaluing them or just making sure that other products are made more prominent. Cultural competence is really important because it allows a leveling of communication so that there is a shared language, so that people respect each other's cultures, so that one culture is not placed over another, and that everybody has a voice and can be heard. This is an easier process when a complementary therapist goes to work and acknowledges everybody's culture. But it does take some time and some patience to learn about others and to learn about what is acceptable, to learn about or what actually is a better way to communicate, a holistic way that doesn't damage, doesn't reinforce trauma, does not invalidate the experiences of others and us. Michelle Cassandra Johnson states that dominant culture continues to strip people of their rituals, practices, and culture, while capitalism profits off repackaging whitewashed and appropriated rituals and customs. That's a deep one, worth reading more about. How does this all fit in with this last section about ancestral frameworks? Well, we have to recover ancestral frameworks to gain better health, to work through all of the things that we're going to offer as complementary therapists. So acquiring and gaining ancestral healing traditions is such an important one. And where there is a disconnect through diasporic pasts or colonialism, it's important to try and reconnect to your shared language. So if you're going to work on yourself, you are the best test pilot for all of this. Find out about your family traditions, find out about your recent past, and then keep looking through, keep investigating. And where you can, make those connections. It may well be that you find some connection through crafts that you can do. It may be music. It may be movement and dance. It may even be ritual. These things are so important. The shared spiritual experience of your culture can enhance how you deliver something that is really thought-provoking, caring, and culturally competent for the community that you wish to serve. If you're not from the community that you wish to serve, there's still a shared language that you can use, and that's a beautiful thing. So I think on this note, we're going to again go back to the title of this podcast, which is Why Black Complementary Therapists Are Needed Now More Than Ever. All of the stuff that I've discussed is so important because there is a war going on with our health, and it's important that we address it. There's been a book written by Dr. Pauline called Weathering the Cumulative Toll of Racism on Health. It's an important book because it looks at how constant stress, economic hardship and inequality, structural and physical inequalities, actually provide the conditions for premature aging, and it worsens our health outcomes. And this is important because we need help from our community to assist us. Community is the key word, and community is what will get us through this. If we are suffering stress, if we are suffering ill health through inequalities, then weathering occurs. And weathering affects all of our body systems, and it ages us sooner than we need to. So working together as complementary therapists with our communities and with the wider communities out there is essential. And I'll leave you with that food for thought. It's a story that will run and run. The next episode will have to look into weathering and the subject of inflammation and how it affects us, because it feeds in to this episode. So complementary therapists are needed more than ever because life is doing us a damage, and we need to find ways as a community to come together and work on that. Knock it on the head for this episode. I look forward to seeing you in about 14 days when we will look into weathering and some other interesting areas where complementary therapy can be so helpful. Okay, take care, look after yourself, and I look forward to another episode in 14 or so days. Bye.